Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. We got a special one for you today, a bonus podcast, if you will. My guest is comedian, podcaster, and investor, Mr. Howie Dewey of the Cash Daddies pod. This is a fun one. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, stick around to the end, like, subscribe, hit the bell, support both of our Patreons if you would, patreon.com/Jasta, or go to patreon.com/Cash Daddies. That is one of my best subs on Patreon. We've made a bunch of money together, and we want you to as well. We want to make sure that musicians and creatives and people who are self-employed or have a side hustle are always creating opportunities to raise capital or just doing the right thing, as far as investing and protecting your capital. That's another one. So we're going to get into that today. And let me know if you want to see a weekly or bi-weekly show with Howie and I. I would love to do that while I'm off the road until Knotfest in March. And then, I'm going to be writing the Hatebreed record, getting a bunch of other projects done, putting out a bunch of exclusive content on patreon.com/Jasta and gasdigital.com. Check out the recent episode I did with Legion of Skanks. And that's it for now. If you want to go above and beyond and you want to get some merch, you want to get a holiday card from me, you can go to martyrstore.net. But otherwise, enjoy the Jasta Show Cash Daddies mashup episode. Check it out. Quick little disclaimer before we get to the episode with Howie Dewey. We are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice. Enjoy the show.
My friend, the lead singer of Hatebreed, the infamous and notorious Jamey Jasta is in the building. That's what's up.
Jamey Jasta from the metal band Hatebreed. That guy's famous.
Coffee, death metal, and push-ups.
That's Jamey Jasta. Remember Jamey Jasta? You know him. He's a podcaster, but he's also a metal man.
I would say he leads that.
That shit is hard.
Your host, Jamey Jasta, Hatebreed. Jamey Jasta, Hatebreed.
Yes, special emergency podcast. We got Howie Dewey on the show. He's a podcaster, a comedian, an investor. We have some big news coming out of New York City. That's, I guess, investment related. But Howie, we'll talk about that in a second. We're going to see the video. But welcome to the show. Thanks for doing this on short notice.
Awesome.
I've been telling every musician out there, they got to start investing now. Put some money away. So many don't do it.
Wow. It's mind blowing. And back when I worked on Wall Street, I had a couple good big musicians.
Just push this up a little bit
as clients.
Yeah. Anyone you can say?
Yeah, man. I had this is hilarious. What my first client I ever had was one of the lead singers from Air Supply, Graham Russell. Dude.
What was their hit? I'm trying to.
Well, no. I swear, I'm all out of love.
Yes.
But the dude that sang, Russell Simmons, he actually sang all the songs. He had no money. The dude that wrote all the songs, this guy, Graham Russell, the Australian guy, was loaded. Had a nice little farm out in Utah with his own goats, mountain goats. Yeah. And he was wild, man, because he got right into the tech craze when it was early. And he made made a lot of money.
What was it on? Apple, Microsoft,
AOL.
AOL?
That was a high flyer back in the day. And if you sold it, you did all right. If you held on to it, you pretty much went bankrupt. You went broke. There's a lot of them back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had some stinkers go to zero recently. Thanks to the vegans. If anybody out there is holding any risky bags, I had that tattooed chef.
Dude, you love your emerging just wild. You're a gunslinger, man. You're like, you'll catch me. Hey, what about this one? I'm like, it's trading at 78 cents right now. The float looks a little heavy.
When we did the episode of your show, Cash Daddies, which by the way, everybody go subscribe on Patreon, Cash Daddies, best $20. I mean, you'll make it back right away if you especially if you do options, which I really need to get into doing. But I thought for sure I was going to get a ton of hate mail after that episode because one of the ones I shouted out went fucking just to the shitter. I mean, it went down. And I warned everybody too, you know, and I think that was the title of the episode, right? It was Risky Bags.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't get in there. But then as I started to sell, it ran, like it squeezed and it started to make a bunch of the money that I had lost back. Yeah. But I could see, I think the CEO, I think the CEO used to run Death Row. So there's a lot of like music industry crossover.
Yeah, there's a lot of shady shit. There's a lot of those stocks you like, a lot of them are manipulated. You got three guys with like this in the back of the room saying buy. And as soon as it hits a certain point, they sell and everybody else gets left with the shit.
Right. But if I have to get some of these guys who have some cash, like some of these musician guys that have some cash on the side, if I have to give them a good starting point, where would it be like right now or for 2025?
Yeah. Well, look, number one, if you're a musician, obviously you're not working for the man. So, you know, the first thing you want to do is just set up some sort of a SEP IRA, some sort of an IRA. So you got a little tax deferred income, you know, tax deferred growth. You can pull something out someday. That's the biggest thing because there's nothing worse than a 65, 70-year-old guy with, you know, nothing.
Right.
You know, nothing, no savings, no. So you got to do something like that. But, you know, as far as sectors go, you know, stuff is trading high right now. I mean, if you're in technology, if you're owning anything from Google, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, this stuff's trading fairly high. A lot of it's trading 25, 30 price to earnings, which it's a little high right now. So I would look at other things. I mean, you know, there's still room for small caps to run. Oil and energy, I think, is still a pretty good sector. I don't think that's going anywhere. Industrials are probably still solid. You know, your John Deere, your Caterpillar, even though it had a nice bump up.
Caterpillar. And that pays a good dividend too, right?
We've crushed on that thing over the past 3 years, man. Whenever it dips, we bought calls on that like last week and made a quick 40%.
Yeah.
You know, then we bought puts on Dell the day before the earnings, and it just tanked like 20, but those puts were up like 300%. But sometimes you have good weeks like that.
Yeah, I bought the dip on Dell because that pays a dividend too, right?
Yeah, it's a Dell solid. It's not going anywhere. I mean, and it's down to a point now. I was at 124.5. I think it's pretty good value.
So how do you time some of these dips, and do you put that in your long term, or do you do any trading? Like, do you do any like swing trades or?
Yeah, I mean, with the, you know, I always tell people, you know, get your core. Like every year I come up with a 2023, 2024 portfolio. The whole goal is just beat the S&P. It's hard to do. Hard to beat that S&P, but we've beaten it 2 years in a row. It looks like we're going to beat it this year. We went heavy in financials at the beginning of last year. That XLF, that's doing well. We went, and the one thing we did differently is we bought a little bit of gold and we bought a little bit of Bitcoin last year. We bought Bitcoin at like, I think 40,000.
Wow.
And actually sold it at 89. It went to 98, but now it's dropping back down. So, you know, when you pump in, when you gather a nice profit, there's nothing wrong with just taking some off the table, just put it in cash, just relax a little bit. Because look, the NASDAQ's up 3,000 points in 90 days. It's going to come back at some point. We're going to have a bad week. People are going to panic. They're going to sell. They did it in August. And it's nice to have a little cash when that happens. And you can, you know, unload the guns, man, make a little bank.
Yeah. So do you subscribe to the Santa rally thing, or do you think that that's more of like people selling like a fake out, like they sell to just...
Well, I mean, December's traditionally have been pretty strong. Problem with this year is, you know, Trump got elected and, you know, you could say whatever reason you want, but the market went parabolic again. So now we're going into December and the market's here. Can it go a little higher? Sure. It's up today. But my opinion, percentage-wise, I think it's going to drop back a little bit. I mean, you're going to see some profit taking going into probably the new year. You know, any kind of a tax loss, people are going to sell and grab those losses because people got a lot of gains this year.
Right. And do you think that some of the beaten down names could come back, like the EVs? Because I started nibbling on a couple of those, and people were ragging on me
Yeah, you like those EVs, man. You like those overseas EVs.
I see Neo is my stinker, but I think it could come back. It depends who you ask, but Hyliion I've made a ton on this year.
You crushed that. HYLN.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people were really, really downing on me for that because I think there was so many bag holders between like $7 and $1 when it was going down from $7. And I get it. If you were holding it at $7, I mean, there's people that I have on my Patreon that were holding it from 14 and just buying it all the way down to $1. But I listen to the investor calls. I follow the CEO. Do you recommend that for every company that you're invested in?
Look, no, I mean, some like Neo, those have a shot because, not everyone in the world's buying Teslas. I mean, you drive up the Northway, I see Rivians everywhere.
Yes.
There's a lot of different EVs out there. It's still in the baby stages here. There's tons of them. So those, if they can keep their cash flow, keep above water, they might do all right. So, and how do you not buy them now? I mean, if you liked it at 10, you gotta like it now. So
right,
that's what I used to say. That's what I used to say when I was a broker on Wall Street. Mrs. Johnson, if you liked it in 98, you gotta like it at $1.50.
Yeah, and I was buying Workhorse at 98 cents, and then it had a nice run. Yeah, and I sold a bunch of it. But I can see, people being really beaten down who were in that. I mean, so there were people that were buying that at $20, $30, and hoping it was. I think they were going to get some sort of USPS contract.
Yeah, you got to be careful. That's why I tell people, look, just put in some stop losses. If you buy a stock you buy Dell at 126, put a stop loss at 120 because if it breaks at 120, it could go down to 85 or 90. So you don't want to take all that. It's better to take a 5-10% beat down than a 60% beat down.
Right.
So that's a big strategy.
So the chart analysis is basic. Like if you had to sum it up, are you looking at where a bunch of other people have bought where that they're going to stay in? Or is there multiple factors that you look at? Like I know some people subscribe to the 3 sort of higher lows type of chart. I don't even know the term for it.
Yeah, like a triple top or a triple bottom or something like that. Look, technical analysis, it's only half of it. I mean, you can have a shit company. Look at MicroStrategy. Nobody even knows what the hell it does. The guy buys Bitcoin. That's what he does. Bitcoin takes, and by the way, this guy, what's his name? Sayers or whatever. He had a company back when I was working on Wall Street in 2000s that he bankrupted. He was doing the same thing, leveraging all the way up and it went to zero. People lost hundreds of millions. So you got to be careful by it. Now, don't get me wrong. It's fun to buy a company like that and see it go up 60%. Your options are up. You're like, yeah. But I'd say 90% of the people I talk to are like, hey, what do they do anyway? I'm like, man, he buys Bitcoin. The company doesn't do shit. It's pretty much a piece of shit. It's garbage.
Right.
So you got to be careful because there's tons of companies out there that pretty much do nothing, or they could be so in the red, they're never coming back. Like I always argue with my brother on Clove, the one we love.
Yes.
Which
everybody was saying risky bag when I shouted that out.
What that thing? They used to trade at like 100, right? Back in the day. And it was shit. It was garbage. It was overinflated. It was and by the way, it's a good segue into United Health because Clover is a company that used to be rumored to get bought out by United Health, which is why it was going through the roof. But now it's back down to under $4. And actually, you could have bought it, what, $1.25, $1.50?
I bought a ton.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah. And my brother did too. Of course, my brother's like, they're getting bought out. I'm like, dude, there's too much debt. They can't get bought out. Now, it could become, that stock is kind of a meme stock. Right. It's one of those that, you get it on Reddit and everybody's like, yeah, but it could start pumping.
Yes.
So,
and I like the telehealth idea as a whole because I can't stand going to the doctors and you go in, you give your whole spiel and they're like, all right, hold on. And then some other dude comes in and then you give your whole spiel again and they're like, oh no, I'm just the assistant. Then another doctor. And then they're like, well, so what are you here for? Well, why did I just go through it with 2 other fucking people? Like, let me do it online, send you photos of this fucking weird rash on my elbow and be done with it.
That's probably why the executive at United Health got capped this morning. We don't know.
I know. I hate to laugh at it because I know. See, you're a comedian. You can get away with it. Me as a musician, like people are like, I can't believe you're laughing at it. Yeah. But let's just say if it was we're going to see the video. Actually, I'll hold my comment until
Probably the funniest thing about the whole situation, this is funny, but this is typical New York City, is they say 10 to 15 people walked by him and they were like, wow, it's cold out, but not really cold enough for a full face mask. And wow, check that out. Why's he got a silencer in the end of that gun? New York City. So, and then pat.
Yeah, let's watch the video. Can you pull that up, Dom? And let's see. This is wild.
Yeah.
And it's what time in the morning? It's like probably.
It was well before the market opened. It was, I don't know if he was on his way to the gym, but this guy knew his where he was staying, knew where he was, and was waiting for him.
He's got a nice jacket on.
Look,
he shot him in the back?
Oh, yeah. 2 in the back, 1 in the calf. Look, he does not mess around. He makes sure that this guy is dead.
This dude is calm and collected.
That's a professional hit. Then he got on one of those e-bikes and cruised to Central Park.
No way.
I don't think they're ever going to catch him.
No. Wow, we just watched a dude die. This is dark.
That's a professional hit. That's Goodfellas shit right there. That's Michael Clayton at his best.
So it's not like a disgruntled person who was denied life-saving care or something like that. If you had to make
So the theories right off the bat was that, like, look, somebody got denied health insurance, was pissed off. And my whole thing is, if that's the case, I think it'd be a little more brutal. Probably not the silencer. The whole, he had threats. He had death threats lately, his wife said. Second theory was, what was the insurance? How much insurance did he have on him? They always go to the wife. That's the second one. That one's probably still out there. My whole thing is, this dude was getting ready to speak at the investors conference today.
Yeah.
So he ran the health insurance division of United Health. And I think it's over, 150 million. It's a pretty big division, health insurance. So was this guy going to say something before earnings? Did he have something that he was going to say that maybe could have tanked the stock? That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Did he sell the stock beforehand? Can we look that up, Tom?
You can look up public insider trading. Yeah, I hadn't heard anything on that.
Because that was going around on Twitter.
I mean, you can look it up. They have to file. I mean, every insider has to. You can't sell. It's impossible unless you file. And you have to set a date ahead in the future.
And what's the ticker? Like, what's it at now?
UNH.
So I looked at that. That is.
Well, here's what's shady. So
it didn't go down.
No. The news comes out. This is what makes me more think he was going to say something. So the news comes out that he gets killed this morning. Pre-market stock's down like percent and a half. So then the news comes out that he's dead. Stock goes up well over 2% on his death. So, I mean, that tells me
people are ruthless.
People on the inside, I mean, who knows what the deal was, but the guy may have known something as far as numbers go within a company. Because what was it last week I saw where someone at Macy's, an insider employee at Macy's, somehow mismanaged 150 million.
Yes, I saw that.
And the stock just plummeted. I mean, that's over at that point.
Yeah.
So this guy, did he know something? My whole thing was he was going to talk today at the investors, which is the biggest meeting of the year. This is when numbers are coming out. You're saying where we're going in the future. And this was a professional hit.
Wow. What do you got, Dom? Let's see. What did he find?
It looks like he did not sell any stock before he was killed.
Okay, so that's just Twitter conspiracies going on.
Yeah. And you would know because if you're an insider of a company, you have to file a date. And you can't, if I work for United Health, I can't say, man, hey, I want to sell this amount tomorrow or today. You can't. It takes weeks.
So with algorithms, with them knowing that he was going to speak today, would they set sell orders or stop losses that would be triggered at a certain price?
Well, this is the way and this is just common sense, I'm thinking. And I could be wrong. Could have been his wife. Who knows? But my thing is, look, this guy, if he was coming out with negative news, and a couple inside guys knew about it, the stock would start falling because they're like, he's going to talk at 10 o'clock this morning. We're screwed. He's going to talk about, if there was any kind of wrongdoing at the company, and the stock would tank. Now, if he's capped and he can't talk, that information is silent and the stock's going to continue up. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's true, but that's a theory.
Wow.
And it's a theory that would make sense because this shit's happened in the past. I mean, whistleblower, that's what, if he was a whistleblower, there's no more whistleblowers. If he was the one that knew, now if you see somebody else from United Health get capped, you're going to be like, okay, that's it.
Right. Like with the Boeing situation.
Right. There you go.
A buddy of mine was in Boeing.
There you go.
And now Boeing is coming back, right? Like, is Boeing a buy?
Yeah. I mean, it probably isn't a bad buy right now. It's a cash cow. They got government contracts up the ass. They're selling this stuff all over the world. And it looks like the lawsuits are done with. They finally got a couple bolts that don't come off of planes at 30,000 feet in the air. They killed all the whistleblowers, hopefully, that, knew anything. So, yeah, it's probably a good buy. Put it in your IRA, man.
Hey, everyone, quick interruption. If you like what you're listening to so far, please give a like, subscribe, hit the bell, and check out our Patreon pages, patreon.com/Jasta or patreon.com/Cash Daddies if you want to support Howie. One of the best Patreon subs that I've had. I mean, for $20 a month or $25 a month or whatever I pay, we've already banked a bunch and made that investment back and then some. Also, martyrstore.net if you want a holiday card from yours truly, or if you want some Hatebreed merch or Crowbar or Jasta. And yeah, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube, leave a 5-star on iTunes. Now back to the show. You know what's fucked up is a buddy of mine. He goes, when I lost all that money on Tattooed Chef, and this was a legit company. Like, I followed the CEO lady. They got a new CEO. I thought,
sounds legit. Tattooed Chef.
Well, they were in Target. The food was garbage.
Yeah.
My daughter liked it. She's vegan, and no offense to the vegans. I ate one of their.
Yeah, my wife's vegan. I don't know how they eat grass all day. It's amazing.
My buddy goes, if you had just put it in McDonald's. And seriously, McDonald's gone up twice.
That's a stock I pushed the hell out when it hit 250. We had calls on. I said, you can't. But McDonald's never going away.
Right.
There's too many beautiful fat people in America that just keep that thing going, baby. I love it.
And they got the Cosmic Cafe or whatever the fuck the new thing is. But there's so many people that they put their beliefs ahead of their investing. And I thought, as much as I wouldn't want to say that I own McDonald's, I was like, I probably should have put it into McDonald's and fucking tripled my money and protected my investment instead of going with this unproven kind of.
But that's you, Jamey. You like to roll those dice, baby. You like to roll them.
But since
I'm the same way.
Since I followed Cash Daddies, and thank you for having me on, and shout out to Sam and the crew. I've made a lot of those losses back, and I feel like it's a great subscription to get on Patreon. I love following people on Patreon. I have a great Patreon crew. How did you link up with Sam Tripoli, a former Jasta Show guest and a great podcaster in his own right? How did you link up with him and Johnny and figure out, like, you're going to do this awesome stock investing podcast?
It's so insane. Sam's father was me and all my buddies' landlord in college. He was our slumlord, I should say. He was.
Armenian slumlord?
Oh, yeah. He's a legend. Tripoli's dad up in Cortland, New York. And I transferred to Cortland State in college. And Ronnie James Dio's mom was the one that kind of helped me get into the school because they're all from Cortland, the whole family. Padavana, the whole family. So
wait, Ronnie James Dio's mom?
Yeah, his mother. Yeah.
Come on.
She was awesome, man. She was great. Yeah. She was cool as hell. But
so you have connections to both comedy, conspiracies, metal.
Dude, it was
a small world.
Yeah, it is. So Tripoli's from Cortland. And we were at a show years ago. We started talking just about Cortland, this, and that. Next thing you know it, he's coming here and I'm going out there and we're just hanging out. We started doing shows together. And during the pandemic, things were, you couldn't do anything. So he said, dude, we should start a show about investing. And we did. We did our 200th episode on Monday. That was 4 years ago. We started it. And yeah, it's growing. The Patreon's awesome. And it's awesome because not just me. I'll put out a play. I'll be like, this is what I'm buying. And we got other guys on there that have been with us for 4 years. And they'll say, hey, check this out. I think we should buy puts on this. And I'm like, I agree with you. 100%. That thing's extended. Let's do it. So it's not just me. We got a whole crew on there that comes up with just really good ideas. And everybody works together. And as far as the main thing is, get your retirement portfolios. I think we're up 60, 70% in the last 2.5, 3 years.
Wow.
In that.
I believe it.
So that's the key, and we have fun with the options but I tell them I'll only use 3 to 5% of your whole entire, don't go crazy. Because I tell them stories about how when I was younger on Wall Street and I blew, I had a situation where I put $5,000 into some calls on a Friday morning at 9:30, got on a plane, went to Albany, New York, got off, and the $5,000 was worth $88,000. So I sold it. Within the next three weeks, turned the 88 into well over 500 within a month.
What?
This was in January. I'll never forget it. And then St. Patrick's Day, we were in Savannah. I was with my wife, and I was taking out a lot of money. And she's like, what the hell are you doing? We don't have that money. And I had a few cocktails. I'm like, yeah, you want to see something? Yeah. Rule number 1, never show your wife anything financially ever, because it'll be your ex-wife 3 weeks later, which mine was my ex-wife. Right? Yeah.
No way.
Oh yeah. Because 3 weeks later, all that money, when the planes hit the towers and we had a rough 3 years, that 500 plus became, I think when I was all said and done, I had like 2,800 in my account. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you didn't buy the dip?
Oh, all the way down I bought the dip.
You did?
That was the problem.
Okay.
We had analysts at the company when, the NASDAQ was at 5,500 then, and it went to 38. This is the bottom, buy the dip. Then it went to 32. This is the bottom, buy the dip. Then it went down to like 1,200. And by that time, it was just, I was in an office with 20 brokers, and we'd get there at 8, and we'd make calls to make sure who wasn't coming in to shoot you at that time. And then we would go across the street to a bar at 10 a.m. and it was Jack Daniels till 4. Wow. And that was like a year. So you didn't get the Senator Al Franken call like some guy? No.
The warning.
No.
Wow. So I wonder, what do you say to your biggest investors? Like, what do you say? It'll come back in 5 years? Like, what do you do? I mean, you probably really were. You were scared, right? Well, people were going to come. Well, it happened in Atlanta. People were getting shot up all the time in these offices. In Atlanta, some guy went postal on 7 or 8 people. I had a buddy that was in the office when it happened, hid under a desk. Wealthy people had, no matter what, they had tons of fixed income. They had bonds and stuff. They took a beating, but not like you had guys like me who tossed money in, made a ton of money, and then lost it all. And the biggest thing was we had brokers just quitting every day. So if you were still there, you had to deal with their pissed off clients. And it was nuts. I had a guy come in one day and literally started swinging at me in the office. And I don't know why, but I started laughing because I'm like, he's swinging. How much did he lose?
Blocking. Oh, I know what he lost because I pulled his account up right before he walked in. I was like, whoa, this guy got crushed. Like he had the record. His account went from like 1.2 down to like 16,000.
No.
Yeah. And his broker had left. He quit. We couldn't find him. He just walked out and that was it. So, after we calmed him down, not me, because our manager locked himself in the office and hid under the desk. Yeah, that was a nice day.
What if you had to put your tinfoil hat on? Are we due for another event like that, or is it? I mean, I know COVID was just rocked the market, and then people got in, and then everybody made it back, or a lot of people did really well. But are we due for another sort? What do you call that? What do you call that type of event? Not even a crash. You call it a crash.
Yeah. Are we due for another, like 2000 was a crash that lasted for 2.5 years. 2008 was brutal, but it was quick. if you didn't panic and stayed there in 2008, you made everything back in 4 or 5 months.
So I bought a house in end of 2008, early 2009. People are like, you're fucking crazy. And I sold that thing I was like, all right, I'm finally getting out because it really made a lot. Like, so everyone was basically wrong. They said, you're going to be underwater in this thing.
Real estate, you're all right, man.
But even then, they were saying it's a bubble. It's going to go. It's going to go. And it did to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But not like what they were saying was going to happen.
No. I mean, real estate, you're going to have bubbles. Look what's going on in Florida right now, especially with commercial real estate.
That's too much inventory?
I mean, right now in Florida, yeah, you have people just stopped buying. You got people that bought tons of Airbnbs. And the prices are starting to drop, and they think they're going to drop. It could drop 30 to 50%.
What?
Yeah, and plus, it's Florida. You're going to get smacked by a hurricane. There's all kinds of. You can't get flood insurance, and I don't know what the deal is with the zones. But to me, if it drops 40, 50%, it's probably a buying opportunity. I mean,
Yeah.
I bought and sold houses. Just bought one this summer up north in Saratoga, and it was kind of expensive, but. I think over 5 years, it's real estate. It goes up 5-10% a year. You can do okay.
Right on. Yeah.
It's not like buying a tech stock, man. You buy a house, it's there. Make the payments, it's still yours.
Right. Yeah. Our drummer just got a nice condo in Florida. But yeah, people got wiped during the hurricane. I knew a bunch of people that got. So that would be of worry to me. But now, before we get out of here, and I want to plug your special too. Let's what's the name of the special? It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's called Teach the Children.
Okay. And maybe Dom can pull that up so we can see. Do you have a Cash Daddies YouTube, or where does the podcast live?
Cash Daddies is on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Sam's got it on Rumble. It's all over the place. And then Ev and I have another podcast. If you don't bet, if you're not a gambler, you won't like it.
Okay. Oh yeah. Shout out to Evan.
Because it's called
that's my dude.
Yeah, it's called The Degenerate Gamblers. And Evan Hand, who started us with Cash Daddies, he's now producing my podcast, The Degenerate Gamblers. And it's a blast. We have a Discord with over 100 guys, just maniacs. Betting on hockey.
What's the picks? What's the picks for this weekend?
I just put them out as soon as I came over here because I know by 6 o'clock they're going to be like, Howie, what do we got?
Now, when you put up your picks, do the lines get killed?
No, they usually stay around the same. I don't move them too much. Okay. We haven't moved too many lines yet, but it's a blast. We do shit: horse racing, darts, ping pong, NBA.
Come on,
everything. I mean,
college game day.
College basketball's tonight. Yeah, college basketball is a huge night tonight.
What's the lock? What's the lock pick for college game? Because we're going to put this out right away. I want to put this up on Gas Digital's YouTube too, because I'm having some Sam Tripoli problems with my YouTube. I'm like, I'm like, what did we say? And I've been off for a while. I did the whole tour. I had the summer tour. We're just now getting back into the swing of things.
Sam brought me up. That's it.
Nice. Where'd you shoot it?
I shot that. I shot it in Saratoga, New York. It was a great time. The film company Biz Productions did it.
Nice.
We did a great job with it. We had a blast. It's a good time. We did 2 shows. Sam got crazy.
So what dates you got coming up?
I got a show with Bernstein next week. We're doing something in New Jersey.
Great. Shout out to Robbie. He was here. Yeah, I missed the podcast. Yeah. I was supposed to do a podcast with him and Lewis. I missed it because of the train. These poor old ladies, the Amtrak. I thought something was going down. I was like, is this it?
What you always do on Amtrak.
Right? Yeah. I'm like, what's that dude who called in the threat? I'm like, is this a TJ?
TJ Miller.
Is this a TJ doing? But yeah, poor old ladies we had to switch the train. You got to go down on the rocks. They got people helping the old ladies up with their bags.
Yeah.
So, and I almost missed this, but luckily we got in here and got it done. So you got a gig with Robbie coming up
next week.
And then where can they find the Degenerates?
Degenerate Gamblers, just go to Howie Dewey on YouTube. You can go to wap.com and join the Degenerate Gamblers. It's $24.99 a month. And again, it's a bunch of guys on there from different parts of the country. They get you good information on games like Last week, Michigan upset Ohio State, and there was a dude out there in Michigan that warned everyone. He's
Really?
like, yes. And if you put $100 on Michigan, you would have got back $2,000. And I was kicking myself. I was kicking myself.
We were betting against Dion, and we were killing it on tour.
Oh.
What? So are they done? Are they out?
Oh, so Colorado, we bloated them last week. We loved Dion because we said they're out of the playoffs. Now he's going to beat the shit out of some poor team where the game means nothing.
Right.
He's going to lay the point. And they did. They won like 54-0 against Oklahoma State. Yeah, they're out, but they'll go to a bowl game. But they'll probably win the bowl game by 70 points because it doesn't really mean anything.
Okay.
But yeah, we all kinds of college.
So do we get a free pick this week here on the Jasta Show?
Dude, I'll give you one right now.
Okay.
Look, crazy game this Friday night. You got UNLV, Sam Tripoli's alma mater. He's so jacked up, you can't even. And they're going to Boise State, who's got one loss. Boise State's a 3.5-point favorite. They should be favored more. The game's at Boise State Friday night on that crazy blue field. It'll probably snow. And if Boise State wins, they'll get a bye and they'll be one of the top 4 teams in the country. I think UNLV upsets them, beats them, knocks them out, and gets a playoff spot.
Come on.
I think UNLV is going to upset Boise this Friday night. There's some weird shit going on.
Really?
Yeah. Plus Tripoli went there. All the stars are aligned.
Okay. Shout out to Boise State. They let us go on the field. They were cool. We played like.
Oh, you been on that field?
Yeah.
Oh.
Dude, you know how fucking hard it is to kick a field goal? Even like 20 yards. I had to have boots on and shit. I was like, this is crazy that people do this.
I know.
And they were cool because I think we played their arena that's attached to the field or something. It was on the That was a fun tour. It was on the Five Finger Death Punch tour. They were playing huge rooms and we were getting the hookup at all the sports places.
That's awesome.
But we did the Dropkick Murphys Clutch tour and we played at that Seattle Seahawks Tamu Theater.
Oh,
Got to go in the dressing rooms or the whatever because that's connected to the stadium. So occasionally you get a good hookup like that. But Howie, great to see you, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Good time.
And I guess one last question: what's a stinker that you cut? Like, what's your biggest loser that you cut that you were happy?
I'm starting to get so beyond irate with OXY, Oxy, which is a large institutional oil company that Warren Buffett has a humongous stake in. And every time it gets to 51 and a half, I'm like, it's going to, and it hasn't done shit. It's a good company, good earnings. A lot of times you'll have that and the stock sucks.
Yeah.
It's just not moving. And I'm about ready to just throw it out and never look at it again.
Same. I did it already. I sold it. But you know what's sleepy, which is gearing up, which I heard on the Cash Daddies Patreon, is Uber.
That's the one you got to own. You got to own that. Just put it in your IRA, put it in your retirement. Don't look at it. We bought it at 35 last year. We bought it 35. It's at 72 right now, and I think it's going to 100.
I think so too. Yeah. But we should have done a disclaimer at the beginning of the show, and hopefully you'll be able. Now that I'm home till the holidays, maybe even till mid-January. Hopefully we can do a weekly segment or a weekly rock and stock show with you if you're around.
Yeah.
Because we got to have these musicians have something to fall back on. What do they call it? A nest egg?
Yeah, man. Especially just get an IRA open. I don't care how old you are. As long as you just open up an IRA, they've made all kinds of changes. I think you put up to like almost $7,000 a year into it. Thing is, it grows tax deferred. You don't pay taxes on it. And you can put it in anything. You could put it all in Uber. If it doubles, you got $12,000. There's a lot of things you can invest in. And look,
especially for the musicians with kids, right? Open one for your kid now.
Open one for your kid.
If your kids are young.
A lot of things you can do with that. Yeah, absolutely. Tons of things.
Right on. Well, thank you so much for the time. And hopefully we'll get this right up and you'll get some subs on patreon.com/Cash Daddies.
Cash Daddies, yes.
And then the Degenerates with Ev in hand. Shout out to Ev. I got to hit Ev up. I always hit him up like right as I get super busy because he's helped me with my email list and my
he's done
social media. And
that's a kid that started with us out of college 4 years ago. And with his digital internet, he's crushing it.
Yeah.
It's just digital marketing. That's
what do you
he does.
call that type of dude? Is that type A?
It's a nerd.
Yeah. Because my shit is chaos. caveman.
Oh.
I'm barely fucking logging into the Schwab trying to sell my
Evan's an animal. Evan was a linebacker in high school. I played with like small college ball. He's a beast, but he's a total nerd.
Yeah.
Just a nerd. He's kid smart with that stuff.
You got to have a good nerd in your corner.
Yeah, that's what his dad was telling me years ago. You got to talk to me. And I talked to him. I'm like, all right, what do I got to do? Do this.
Nerds run the world.
Oh, absolutely.
They really do.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Howie. Thanks everybody for checking this out. Go give him a like. Go give him a sub. Check out the dates. Go see him with Robbie Bernstein. Is it Bernstein or Bernstein?
I think it's Steen.
Like the Mandela effect with like the Bears?
Yeah.
The Berenstein Bears?
I think it is, man.
All right, everybody. Drink your coffee, do your push-ups, listen to death metal, and go invest on Schwab.
Charlie Schwab.
Thanks, Howie.
Peace. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Just a quick little outro, and thanks again if you've checked out today's podcast, the special Jasta Show Cash Daddies mashup with Howie Dewey. Let me know if you want to see a weekly or bi-weekly rock and stock show with Howie and myself. Leave a comment, and make sure you go subscribe to patreon.com/Cash Daddies. Go see Howie at his comedy dates. And then, of course, I'll be writing and recording the Hatebreed record until we head out onto, where are we going? Oh, Australia in March for Knotfest, Slipknot, Slaughter to Prevail, Hatebreed, and many more. Good old down under. I know we got some people down under investing as well. What else? Martyrstore.net, gasdigital.com. And yeah, that's it. I will be back. We got Miles Kennedy coming up. We got, who else? Vinny Stigma coming up. Sebastian Bach. I mean, we got a bunch of great episodes of the Jasta Show. So stay tuned for that, and drink your coffee, do your push-ups, listen to death metal. Bye-bye. Executive producers Jake Olszewski, Ben Lee, AJ Lewis, Garrett Keeping, Dan Smith, Nick Torito, JJ Hernandez, Joe Bardovic, Jason Jarvis, Chris Larice, Alex Smolin, Todd McKee, John Blewett, Richard Miller, Kyle Marg, Nate Leffingwell, Morgan Costner, Mark Tagg, Zapagor Waikato, Niall Scollard, Kathy D'Ambrosio, Justin Stephen, Jack Flanders, the Pit Commander, Andy Wilson, Jeffrey Kuhn, Kimo Humalamaki, Jonathan Metis, Brandon Cooper, Matthew Jankowskis, Jamie Kutcher, Ryan Underkoffler, Matt West, Ryan Maurice, Chad Green, Dallas Hendricks, Jacob Arensberg, Kenneth Moore, Kona Butterflies, Stephen Helm, Richard McIntosh, Jeff Stevenson, Ryan Williams, Larry Tooley, Dallas Bolin, Ryan St., Nathan Rex Madrid, Cameron Hendricks, Scandalous Official, Joe Motson, Let's Talk Resident Evil, Andrew Chase, Guy on the Couch, Chris Winchester, Antonio Reyes, Joe Otzen, Dustin Stone, Lee Walker, Ryan Levson, John Hankus, Robert Bushaw, Troy Seal, Mark Horror Armenta, Jay Liberston, Nick Fowler, Mike Horgan, Emma Horgan, Arnarok, Patrick King, Oscar Brummett, Stacy Steinecke, Fernando Somoza, Patrick O'Brien, Dominique Zimmer, Ryan Sanders, Laura Snyder, Daniel Berg, Milwaukee Metal Sausage, Adam Voss, Adam Mecklenburg, Katie Day, Zachary Liberston,